My name is Andreas, Dieckow, Principal Product Manager in InterSystems. Primary focus is on product security. I need to use this mic here apparently, so I'm going to use it. So I want to talk about the roadmap, focusing on this kind of area, FIPS 140-3 and the rest. Somebody's applauding already in the front line. So security roadmap. So this is how we're starting out with the session. We released FIPS 140-3 with 2025.1, so it's available. So we now have 2 versions that we support with FIPS 140-3 with Red Hat versions 8 and 9. So it's InterSystems not doing creating these modules. We're relying on the vendor, in this case Red Hat, to provide those. But with FIPS mode, we're directly interacting. Currently, we're going to release in a few weeks 2025.2 ECDSA, which is brand new to us, but very popular apparently right now in Europe. So we implemented this. Granular security, OAuth security database. So all of those are coming in one release. For the future, what we're planning is security wallet, which is actually the motivation for most of the activity that you will see on what we're actually releasing. It's the core component that is needed, the security database that is needed to get a wallet mechanism in place. Mirror security, auditing improvements, and then security wallet will have a second phase. We're having the first initial implementation that is a minimalistic approach, but we're looking for customer feedback to see what's going on. So what we will talk more in detail are just these in this session. So we're not talking about all of them during this event. So I'm going to start out with granular security. Granular security is in general something that is very dear to our heart. We have a product that exists for quite some time. We're all aware of this. And over the years, there has been additional needs to provide additional security components. And so we're making more elements available, basically more granular permissions on files to go out. We have released one last year about this, which was not having any impact to customers, or at least not any kind of significant impact. This one here is more disruptive. This is the % developer role, which is very generous today. If you're using a % developer, you have access to it, you can do everything with that role. There is no granular control whatsoever. So now we will have granular secure components in it. There are 6 of those. And those will be able in the future to control by functional unit what you can do. So there's new access permissions that are needed to make this work. So the roles there in detail. There's an export role, easy to identify what that is. Could modify. This is rather more newer about the system. A shell mechanism as an approach. Of course, you need to have debug capabilities in the system. That becomes now an extra component because by default, debugging could be a security risk in an environment. So you want to have separate control over this. And then, of course, the development IDE that is needed and SQL access. So I'm not going to go more in details about this in the session here. You all got a little piece of paper or invitation for this meeting. So if you want to learn more about this or discuss this with us, please come to the session. This is for all of what we're talking about here, the best way of getting more information from us in details about this. We made changes to the audit database. This is just the highlights for this as well. Auditing has become very popular in customer use cases. We see a lot of customers starting to use auditing. Auditing is, however, also collecting information, lots of those, right? So these are rapidly increasing files, and searching those has been also starting to become a challenge. So we did some performance and size improvements in it, so that the files are getting smaller. The overall storage of the system gets faster. It now does an automatic indices, so there's more indices in the system. It will, in the background, generate the indice generations every 30 seconds, and has 7 new ones. And files are smaller, and so a lot of smaller improvements that add up a lot. This is targeted for 2025.3 on the agenda. It's not meant to be really a big change in behavior. The system will automatically make changes to an older system and adjust to new configuration. OAuth Research Server is an improvement. This is one of these that we had to wait for the security database to be released because we're making components already in better security for certain kind of functionality in here. And so there are several improvements in this here. I'm going to just quickly go through this as well here. You can read in detail what they are. They will make life for people much easier now using OAuth configuration, so they don't have to use the authenticate anymore. It's actually natural to actually use it now, and makes it much easier for customers to understand what to do and when. And we also now support JDBC and ODBC to authenticate this as well. So Iris Security, this is the main component that we're releasing in the next version. The reason why we had to do something about this was that we have a database that has sensitive information in the system, which is the security database today, right? IrisSys has sensitive information in it. If you define a user, right, for example, IrisSys has this information. You can't really protect this file, for example, with encryption because it's a startup database. So you can't encrypt this in database. So and we really want IrisSys to be encrypted. The reason why we want IrisSys to be encrypted is so that we can actually do the wallet mechanism. The wallet mechanism will hold sensitive information, for example, clear text information for authentication purposes, for example, right? A very common scenario that happens in the environment. So IrisSys can't be encrypted, so we needed to find a way to change this, and we have. So Iris Security is now a new database. It holds all the sensitive information in the system. And when you upgrade to 2025.2, the system will automatically create a database called Iris Security. We'll move all the data that belong into this new database, and will protect and generate a protect layer around this. It can be optionally encrypted. So by default, we're not encrypting the database because you need an encryption key for this, so we can't do that, of course. And so customers have to do so. There is potential impact here. We're believing that the majority of customers will not see an impact, but there is always a chance that customers directly interact with this information. And if they used to directly interact with this information, this will no longer work. they need to now have new permissions. And so with the additional new permissions, they will still be able to access this information as they were used for. So new permissions is whenever you run into a problem, is the one that you want to look at. So I can try to give you a quick demo of this. So, all right, so I started an Iris instance here, and it has an encryption key, is aware of an encryption key. It doesn't use any kind of encryption keys right now for any kind of products. It just loads it into memory, into the environment. And so let me just get to that instance. Of course, it timed out. Oops. So here you see that the encryption key is loaded, is currently not used anywhere. But here you see something new in this list, which is the encrypt Iris security database. And so if you have an encryption key here in an environment, and you want the Iris security database to be encrypted, you just mark this as yes here. And then on the next startup of the instance, it will automatically encrypt that database. And you, of course, you can guess, right? You can go back and forth. We're running a bit out of time, so I'm not going to do all of those examples now, but this is all it really takes, right? So you put a yes in here, restart the instance, and now this Iris security database is encrypted and protected. And there will be new protection mechanisms that we will consider as we're going forward. For example, for clear text or any kind of sensitive, higher sensitive information, like maybe storing encryption keys in the wallet, might prevent de-encryption. You might have to remove sensitive information from the wallet so that you're not just exposing information to the users. So that worked, yay. So Iris Security Global Access here previously used. There is a description here, you can glance over it. It has many components to it. It's a lot of details in the different use cases. You don't have to write this down. As you leave this room, you will get a 3-pager from us. You can take this with you. It has all the details in it. And scenarios of what happens when, right, and what permissions do you need, right? There's a new permission, for example, security administrator, right? All of these kind of things are available. So a security wallet, which is what this is all about, or what the real desire is, right? The security database itself is important to protect this, but by itself it doesn't do much, right? It's just a database that protects information, but the wallet is the one that puts in all the functionality that customers typically would like to see, right? So we're working on this for quite some time, so finally we're getting to this. This is a 2025.3 release, so it's not going to be released with 2025.2. Iris Security is built as a foundation. Initial implementation is just having some common things. Here I'm going to give you a little demo of how this looks like. So here I have an example over how can you see that?
Yep.
How the wallet is created. So very simple, right? The first one, you just create an item in the security wallet, which then you can interact with to doing more things. Well, we could potentially run this, and we'll probably say success, yes, okay, great. So this one is getting a little more easy. Here it now has information that are stored in the wallet, right? And it uses this information to do something with it. In our case, also a very simple, we encrypt the file and we decrypt the file again, right? And so this mechanism is part of this file. This one here is interesting, and but the demo will be simple. But the idea is, or the challenge that we have with Ensemble, for example, in a lot of cases, is that Ensemble needs to connect to other files or applications, and it needs to do this in clear text. So it needs to store somewhere in clear text this information so that it can authenticate with a third-party component. And so now this information goes into the wallet, right? And because the wallet has protection mechanisms, is you only interact with this indirectly through the contents of what the wallet can do, right? And so, so the goal is to actually do this authentication without the user exposing this information. So it will just do this, come back and says it either works or it didn't work, right? But the information is protected in the file. In this case, we're just faking another target for this, where the authentication will actually happen here. And then again, for the same mechanism here, we're running an application which for some reason errors. I will not debug this now, but normally this would now come back and says yes, authenticated, right, and gives you feedback for it. We moved so much things around here between applications, so it might have had an impact on some of the settings here. So this is the card that everybody should have in the room. Again, our main idea was to start giving you the highlights on this, sparking interest. We really would like to have this meeting tomorrow afternoon. It's in the orange room, which is one level down. When you come from the entrance where there's 2 elevators is, you can just go down there. And then orange is around the corner. And we're discussing the security wallet, granular security for % developer and OAuth. These would be the main focus that we're talking to. Others, of course, are also available if needed. Here's a list of the early access program. The security database is in the early access program for quite some time. So if you want to try it out, you can get to download it and use it and play with it. It's very straightforward to use. It will get an update next week, so you can take a look at this, but we'll be fine. Get ready. Please don't forget to put the survey out for the session. And we already have the tracks that, or the additional tracks that are coming from Mark David. He highlighted those. And that is it. Thank you very, very much.